Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 10 of Chat with the S-Men. Oh my God, 10.
10.
We're hitting 2 digits now.
Double digits.
Oh my goodness.
There you go.
We're in the big leagues now, people. Yeah, no fooling around.
So that's the number 10.
Number 10.
Number 10.
That's right.
That's a series. So that's a series, isn't it? You have a series break now.
Well,
Yeah, that's right,
is
yeah.
how many is a mini series?
10, isn't it, usually?
Oh.
Yeah. Mid-series break, mid-season break, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, fantastic. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Chat with the S-Men. Thank you so much for listening for the previous 9 episodes. And if you haven't, what are you doing? Listen to those first and then come back to this. We won't get the context. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to us. First off, we'd like to thank our sponsors.
Our sponsors being, as always, bringing a little bit of style to the boardroom, Spandex Panda, for a little bit of Italian flair. We've got
Spandex Panda.
Thank you, Pink Weasel.
Fantastic.
Nice
coffee.
new delivery of coffee with always entertaining kind of explanations on there. So we've got Smarty Pants Espresso there for a decadent mouthful of warms the morning without the oil stain.
All right.
We'll leave that one there.
They're in Calgary?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
And then TEEMA Solutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, TEEMA.
Helping clients across North America achieve IT initiatives and project delivery.
Thank you, sponsors.
There, and also Platform Calgary, because without
That's right.
Platform Calgary, we wouldn't have a home to do any of the
Right.
recordings.
We'd be recording this on the street right now.
We
Yeah,
would.
it's a
We're
cool
in
building.
platform.
It's a very
I've
cool
never
building.
been in
Right?
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a office surrounded by a parking lot.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
but I
is.
should have took a picture when I came
Yeah,
in.
that's really
That's something I normally would do.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Yeah, it is nice.
I love it.
It's really neat.
Yeah.
And
I
then
didn't know it at first. I thought it was just a big parking lot at first.
Yeah, that's what it looks
With
like.
the word platform on it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
There's got to be like some kind of
Yeah.
upstairs
Yeah.
It's
picture
like-
taking thing.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh, that's very
And
artsy.
But then
Artsy.
but this is another first, because we're at episode 10.
Episode 10.
We have another guest, which is 2 episodes on the run now, where we've had episode 9 with a guest, episode 10 with a guest.
That's right. This is the trend. We want more people.
More guests.
If people are just going to start tuning out if like, oh, Jason and Simon are talking
Oh, they're
again.
talking
Again,
again.
right?
Which one?
Let me guess, Jason is on keto.
yeah.
Are you?
Shocking.
Are you on
Yeah.
keto?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
I never do
Just my
like,
thing.
like diets
No.
like that. Yeah.
Oh, I don't do diets. I'm trying to wean myself off of a lifetime of sugar.
Ah,
So,
I like.
That's
I like
more
sugar.
along the lines of what I'm doing.
Okay, and it's doing well.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I still have a spare tire, which is going down. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I've lost a bit of weight. I'm an extra hold down on my belt.
It's
I'm really
working.
excited about this.
What you're saying is it's working.
Yes, working.
Whatever you're doing is
Oh,
working.
yeah. And
Oh, so
I'm
you
not,
just got to keep on it.
yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to do like this a Jason push-up challenge. It's not like an actual like official challenge. I
Right.
think there's one going on right now. I'm like, I'll just do it at my own pace. But but hey, that's going. I'm getting a little bit beefier off here. I'm
Good.
rather good. I think so anyway. I hate to brag.
Well, very cool.
Anyway, sorry we got off track.
You need to introduce Anna.
That too. First, I'm going to introduce listeners just really quickly.
Okay.
Catch us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and
It's still the best one. iHeartRadio.
right, and Podbean.
Just sounds cool.
Right, and if you're on YouTube, do that thumbs up thingy.
Yep.
Do that subscribe thingy. Do
Notifications.
that notifications
And
thingy.
comments.
And comments.
Can't do anything without comments.
Exactly. Right. How do we know whether
Yeah,
you like
feedback,
it or not? So.
so-
Yeah,
Also good.
exactly.
And today we have special guest, Anna Ahmed.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello.
From Hitch YYC. Thanks,
Yes.
Anna, for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
This is exciting.
Hmm.
Probably one of the most nerve-wracking ones we've done so far.
Why?
Why?
Because
Because it's relationships,
Okay.
it's dating, and society's moved on.
Yeah.
I was 51 2 weeks ago.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. And meeting somebody when I met my wife,
Okay. Which was how old?
it's not the same. Well, it's not the same. So she was 18, I was 20.
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Like meeting social dynamics have changed so much.
So much.
To now,
Yes.
it's like, holy smokes. So when Jason mentioned you and Hitch, I'm like, oh my God, that's going to be
Yeah.
such
interesting.
such a cool chat. Because
Yeah.
it's like, where do you even start? Because
Yeah.
people now will get into a text conversation and go, well, I've just chatted to Simon. I'm like, you haven't talked to me.
Yeah, totally. I get a good vibe though. Like for me, I'm like a very like intuitive person. So even getting into the dating world and being on text, I'm still like witty and I can still get a vibe, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't had horrible experiences, but it's been interesting. Yes.
That's my superpower. It's being able to be somewhat charismatic on text.
Yeah.
It's what
It's
helps
something.
in my dating game.
It makes it different. It
So,
makes
yeah.
it like, because you have like, when you're on the apps, you have like 100. I'm just joking.
No, it's
like,
true.
like 20,
Yeah.
People that you're
Yeah.
actually talking to, especially at the beginning. And then it kind of like dwindles down.
Oh, so many funny things I want to ask
For
you.
us, we
and-
probably learn. Is it fair to say that we probably learned that though? Like the older generations
Yes,
have had to
absolutely.
learn that.
That's
Yeah, very
yes.
much so.
That's
Because-
the thing. That's the difference.
And you've been in such a long-term relationship for so long. Like, you've never even touched a dating app.
No.
Well, I hope not.
Oh,
anyway.
No.
God.
No,
It
Joe, you
scared
do
the
not.
absolute bejesus out of me now.
So how
Right?
long,
Yeah.
how long have you been married?
20.
Uh-oh.
I need to know.
Yeah. Oh no!
Never mind.
We'll edit it out.
Just
Stop.
take
Yeah.
that out.
Wait.
Stop.
Yeah.
I know how
Hold
to answer
on.
this question.
Stop things.
24 years married, 31 years together.
Wow.
Just clicked into 31 yet.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, good
It's a
job.
long time.
Yeah.
What about you? Are you married?
No, I'm single. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Forever?
Yeah. No. Just
Jason's
well,
found his forever home.
Yes.
He
I
likes
jokingly
it.
put
He's
something on
comfortable.
Facebook. It's I no longer date women. I just foster them until they find their forever home. So,
You need to get that T-shirt.
I do
That was
actually.
hilarious.
Yeah. You can look at that as a downer. I looked at it as a laugh. I couldn't help but
Yeah, own
laugh.
it.
Right? Yeah, exactly. No, I'm just recently out of a long-term relationship, so
Okay.
I'm definitely taking a breather. I like to.
Yes.
I'm the kind of person where if when a relationship ends, I like to
You take time.
yeah
You heal.
gather find out and not that it was really a bad breakup at all, but just find out what I'm looking for to where
Totally.
take time for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people
So-
do that.
No.
Or they do it forever.
Right.
That's
and,
the thing.
And I right or wrong, I go with the idea that if you jump from relationship to relationship, then you're just repeating past patterns.
Totally.
Yeah. So I like to stop, go, hold on.
Yeah.
Why didn't that one work?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Good.
And honestly, each relationship I've had gets better because of it. It's
Mhm.
true. So yeah.
Yeah. I have the same experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So what's the? So let's back up because I want to go back to the beginning of you getting to Hitch, because there's a before, not necessarily a relationship but professionally, because obviously there's a career before Hitch.
Yes.
Or is there a career and Hitch now, or give us that story.
So I got tape. So I was married for 10 years. I was with him for 16.
Yep.
I have 2 kids. So I did like the married life. I was a mom. I was a wife. I would go to Superstore and look like an old man, so I was there. I was in it. We lived in a cul-de-sac and we had everything.
Yep.
And then, so he was, I don't know how deep I'm going to go into this, but he was, our relationship was shaky, right? But he was also my best friend, right? And so he was, where there was jealousy, there was control, things like that. So then I ended up opening up a day home so I could be home.
Okay.
And
For kids?
for
obviously?
kids, yeah. And so then, so 15 years of that, and then I was in that. I did like mortgages. Didn't like that. I like people.
Do you like stress or something?
What's that?
That sounds stressful.
yeah.
Yeah,
Having a house full of
goodness.
kids.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And so I can
barely handle my own kids,
No, but
let
I'm
alone other
actually like
people's.
when it's my thing, it's like a good running, smooth running thing. Like
Mhm.
I'm kind of, I was a little bit of a tyrant, right? Like, so, but I had order and I
Yes.
had respect. And so I did it with my mom, who was like grandma. And so it wasn't the same
Got it.
for her. It wasn't the same experience. So I had that for about 15 years. And then I got into real estate kind of a few years before COVID. And so I wasn't happy, like at the end, I wasn't happy doing like the kid thing, right?
Mhm.
It was making me not so nice, right?
Okay.
And that's what I need to change. So
Just because of the pressures of the
just
job, or-
like all the things, and it just like I didn't want to be around like just kids every day. I need because people are my thing. People are so my thing. Even if it's like for a 5-minute thing, I just like a 5-minute little conversation. I like to just like and then walk away because I'm not even So so I had the day on for 15 years. COVID took it down, and that was kind of my opportunity to dive into real estate, which was another tough one, right?
So difficult.
is so tough. And people are always like, I don't like my job. I'm going to go into real estate. I'm like, okay. But it's just like, it's a lot. So I was by myself for 5 years, just like with a brokerage. And then about a year and a half, for a year and a half, I met my team lead that I was with for a little bit. I was on their team. But I'm not like I need to have my own hours, my own thing. I can't have someone breathing down my neck. And I do need structure. Like, I know that's who I am.
Yes.
But it was too much, like, for me. And so I decided that wasn't my thing. And then in that also, there's so many things. So my brain goes like this.
Oh, please go ahead.
That's fine.
So my husband, so I left my husband right before COVID.
Oh, thank goodness. I don't mean in a bad way, but if you're on your relationship's in a bad place and all of a sudden you have to quarantine together.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, this is our dynamic. So if we didn't have all the outside stuff, we worked, right? Like, so if I didn't want to go out and network and whatever, that was perfect for him.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So then if I would have stayed throughout COVID, we would have made it work and we would have thrived. Right. We were at home. We could do like renovations. We could work out like all the things. Right. So yes, it was a blessing. But when you leave, February 27th and then March 16th, the world shuts down.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, what? Like, it was just because I'm like, it was like my birthday. We went to like Wine Fest. We did all the things. And then it was like, huh?
Yeah.
Right? Like, so it was good, just kind of like going back and just realizing. But it was also hard. And I was used to like 16 years of like having a person, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I went on the apps. And then this is when it all began. But it was just
give us your opinion of this is fascinating. But so what was your opinion of the apps that exist? Like, what did you find? Was it?
It's easy.
Really? Easy? What do you mean easy?
It's easy to create a profile, get on. If you are, I take care of myself, right? And then when I left, I started really more so taking care of myself. I've always worked out. I've always lived like a balanced life like that. But like even just going out. So during COVID, I was like, I would wake up, I would do my hair. I would like, okay, I'm like, where am I going to go? I'll go grocery shopping, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Just
Perfect.
people like maybe. And then I was so open to like anybody just like talking to me because I was at home with my kids, which I love. Like I love hanging out with them. They're like my best friends, right? They're actually like cool little humans. Nice. But yeah, it was easy. And it's just like, it's everybody's there. You would think that it's actually like a really good thing, right? Until you like really dive in, which I do. Like if I'm doing something, I like go hard. And so because I was looking for a person again to fill this void, right? I did it. And so I met a lot of guys. Right? Like a lot. And I had fun and I did all the things. And so right away I met this guy and he was the closest to like, having like a boyfriend. Right. Yeah. And so we saw each other for like 7 months. And in that it was like unspoken that we were seeing other people. Right. Yeah, and which was good for me because I kind of like, I was starting to learn what I like. And he was the one that I had the most connection with. So that's what stuck. I spent most of my time with him. And I fell for him, right? Because I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, it's this connection. And with my husband, before I left, I was like, am I going to find that? Like, because he was my person.
Yeah. Oh, very much so.
Right?
Yeah, we've both been through that, especially, and I feel your pain because I'm relatively new into the single scene again.
How long were you seeing her?
2 years.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So, but it's kind of we're still friends, and that's fine.
Oh, good.
But she's moved on, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It's you both also you lose a romantic partner. And secondly, you lose what could be your best friend. It's kind of a double. It's a double hit.
You're friend,
Like at the end of the day, you're just like going and being like, oh, this is what happened, right? Like I didn't have that anymore.
Because my kids do not care about my day.
Yeah, my kids are not bad. They're not bad, but they're like,
sorry guys.
Like a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I went on a vacation. We went to LA. And before that, I went to Montreal by myself, which is a funny story. But I went to LA with the kids, and I would talk to like the Uber drivers and like just have like this connection, right? Yeah. And I would tell them all about my stories because like some of my stories, and that's the thing too, like with my life, And with what I'm bringing into Hitch is like people need to like experience things. And so a lot of the time when I'd have conversation with when I was married, I wouldn't have much to talk about, right? It was just like, and I'm seeing that. Like when I catch up with my friends, they're like, no, my life's the same. It's the same. tell me, right? And it's just like, so it's experiences. So it's a blessing. Like this last 4 years, it's been amazing experiences.
So that's how long Hitch has been going for now? It's 4 years? Or
no, so it's so I started it.
Let's talk about Hitch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I was dating, I was noticing that because I met a lot of guys, and then I would fall for I fell for like maybe 4 of the guys. But like, to your point, like I every guy, it would be a little bit closer to what I was looking for, even though I would like fall for the guy and thought this was my guy, right?
Yeah. Battle through the hormones.
Yeah,
a little
it's
bit
hard.
Yeah.
And then of course in that I'm like working on myself. I'm going to counseling. I learned a lot. Like even the one big thing I learned or took away was that you can't change yourself, or you can't change other people. You can only change yourself.
Yeah.
And so, and I noticed that like even when I was married, I would like be like, please see this thing, let's see what you're doing, right? And just he'd be like thinking about what he was gonna say next, and I'm like, fuck, man, like, you know. So I was starting to change my approach, and when I do things, like I said, I go in hard, and I do all the things, like everything that's in my power, I'll do. Until I'm like, okay, well, I've tried everything. And now I can walk away being like, okay.
Yeah. Tried everything and it didn't work.
And it didn't work, right? Because if we're not both growing,
yeah,
just start growing apart, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that sometimes starts to breed resentment.
Oh, totally.
And once resentment happens, that's my understanding. It's the poison pill with
100%.
most romantic relationships.
Yeah.
When there's resentment, it's hard to get that resentment.
Totally. Like
reversed.
even afterwards, I'm like, I'm actually this is a little much, but it's like I'm actually a very like sexual, passionate person. And when I was with him at the end, I'm like, do I need to go on like whatever the women's Viagra or whatever it is, right? Like, because I wasn't feeling it, but it's resentment, and it's all like, because I loved him, right? And that was like strong, but at the end it was just like it was so much hurt.
Yes.
Right? Which doesn't make you hot.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't get you going.
No.
Hitch and all of that. So all of the stuff that you just were talking about means it at some point one's not keeping up with the other. You know what I mean?
Yes.
In terms of the relationship side of things.
Yeah.
So how do you take that? So take your obvious feelings and all of that kind of stuff, and then and put that into a dating site to bring people of similar experience.
Yep.
Like together in that. So there's kind of 2 questions: is do you try and build that into an app, or do you look to bring people together in events?
Yes. So it's more of, because I'm trying to bring back that organic aspect of dating. Because these apps have made things like, so I have a counselor that I speak with, and she's she in the last 5 years she's noticed a change, and she's been doing this for 17 years. And so she's like, it's just like a shiny object syndrome, where it's like there's always like something better, which is a big thing on those apps.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
And then because there's good looking people, but then the like 5%. So for me, when I'm on the apps, it's like I'm like 200 people I'm going through, and then there's like the 1 or 2 people where I'm like, oh yeah, and so then at the end I'm like, well, you know, fine, you know, it gets to that point. Because it all, like, a lot of those people are like recycled too, and I've been on there too, right? Like, you know, the first.
I've been through phases. I say, oh, you're still on there.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, sure, let's meet.
Yeah, right.
Why not?
I've seen you before. Yeah, I've seen you.
You got a kid. Maybe
this
this will
10
work.
minutes.
Yeah, right.
But I go into things. So a lot of people go into these things and they're like nervous, scared, whatever, right? For me, if I'm gonna go meet someone, I get excited.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm like, okay, so that says something. So I have no expectations going into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's when I catch feelings.
Okay.
That's when I'm like, I get anxious. I get in my head. I start overthinking.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started learning, like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna be normal. I'm just gonna be me. Like 1000% me.
Yes.
I'm gonna say what's on my mind. I'm gonna say what I'm thinking about or overthinking about, or like
Be your
what I've
authentic
created
self.
in my mind. Yes.
Oh my God, yes.
Everywhere,
Yes.
every situation.
Yeah.
But do you not think that's been almost, that actual phrase has been turned into a little bit of a buzzword?
A little bit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
like maybe
I
people
want
don't
you to
know
be-
exactly what
Yeah.
it means even.
What does it? Yeah.
But like,
you know?
so I have like a lot of friends that are like older, younger, whatever, and they're going through this, and they come, which feels good, right? Because they're coming to me for like solid advice, right?
Yep.
And I'm confident in it because I've experienced it all, right? So I don't have like a professional background in psychology or anything like that. It's just, and I tell people, I'm like, it's just life experience, which a lot of is like the best, you know, when you actually lived it. So back to the question,
Which was so how do you put that into your
oh, okay,
how do you put that into your site, or don't you?
right?
Do you make it do you make it a repository for people to be there and to do some form of basic matchmaking, but then the emphasis, as you just said, is on the events that you put together? So we've got a Valentine's Day event, or we've got an Easter event, and stuff like that, and then for want of a better word, you can bring people together, and then it's a little bit like old school stuff.
Well,
right?
it just happens.
Yeah.
So the thing about Hitch is that I go out, I meet people, I network, I go to events. I'm on LinkedIn, which is like now restricted.
Is it?
Someone must have reported me for asking. So I had like 1,200 like great connections, singles.
Yeah.
Because I kind of weeded out the non.
Yep.
And someone
goodness.
someone must have reported. I was like,
Oh.
so now I just gotta say, it doesn't take me long to kind of.
So
connect.
Hitch is it Hitch, or is it onto your own profile? Like, does Hitch have its own page on LinkedIn?
Yeah, it did.
You did.
Right.
It did,
Okay.
Yeah. So now
they're like, hey, can you? That's not.
But I got
business to them, probably.
Well, yeah, but I'm like, this is like a legitimate business. This is like helping, and I know people are going on there to like meet people now, right? Like that's where the dating apps have, you know, like people from the dating apps have turned.
Well, all the AI comes out of that,
right? You know, well, here's the fun part. Fun part about LinkedIn is that it could be a very good dating possibility because on Facebook you don't know if anyone's checking out your profile. You tell if they've checked out your stories, but you can't tell if anyone's checked out your profile. So if you have something on LinkedIn, you know somebody's viewed your profile. It's like look,
and you can see what they do, what they like, all the
right.
things like they're
which
whatever
is
they posted.
And all, I mean, kind of make it. I see it as being humorous. But when there's an approach from, a headhunter or something like that that comes my way, it's kind of, we've extensively reviewed your profile, Simon, and we'd love to have a conversation. I'm like, really?
Well, what'd you read though?
Like you've read, like my LinkedIn profile is purposefully short. You know, like it covers the last 10 years out of a 26-year career in recruitment. So it's like I'm so it's not that extensive by design. So my point is that I think that going back to the dating sites, which is what I seeing the way you're altering the dating game, is that you can also do that in the dating app, right? Like you can choose to put less or more details into a dating site,
right? Yeah, and there's because I didn't really have to put much, right? Like I put my pictures, whatever, and then just kind of like what I liked, and then I'd be like, it would be a short profile because and that just says a lot too, because then you get all these like you get all these matches, but it's image, right? It's like it's what they first see, which I get. Like, don't get me wrong. Like it is about like physical attraction.
Of course,
it has to be.
The fun part is actually, let's start talking about some of the apps. That'd be interesting. So of course I've cycled through enough of them. I refuse to pay for any of them. That's just my thing.
I will never pay.
Never pay for anything.
Girls don't really need to.
Yeah, they don't need to. The pay is supposed to get the guys. The more desperate the guy, the more they want to pay. Sorry, guys, it's true.
It's a fact.
Yeah,
and
pretty much. Yeah, and there's whole
because like the 5% of the good-looking men who
get
are
all of the girls
6 feet tall, successful, built, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that get all the matches.
And then you get, I think we talked about it on the podcast.
I've been telling Joe this all the time.
So you get your your top 5%, which I'm not, and that's okay. I know my place. It's fine. It's okay. So, but under.
Sorry. Before anybody says anything, I'm fine. I'll own it.
Yeah, right. Personality-wise, I'm top 5.
You're amazing.
Yeah, you gotta get past the spare tire. No. So I know how it works. Is there's definite levels. The top 5% get all. The top 5% guys get all of the thing. And believe it or not, most of them are men on those apps.
I don't know exactly the
I think statistically around 60 to 65%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if I recall. It was on Diary of a CEO, our other favorite podcast other than this one. But
okay.
so we have so it's a majority men. Top 5% get all the likes. You get another like 15-20% on the top as well who don't do too bad.
Yeah.
And then anything under, nothing. And that
Yeah.
causes
Yes.
a huge imbalance of quite honestly a huge population of the a male population feeling that they're not
Totally.
they're worthless.
Yeah.
And they may not be going out to meet people, and having bad experiences on the apps exacerbates that for
Yes.
sure.
So to that,
Yeah.
my whole the initial premise of the business was to help men become more of that 5%.
Right.
Yeah. So I wanted to like elevate them. So I did have so I just like, for me,
Interesting.
I just start something,
Okay.
right? And just kind of like see, and I work out the kinks, and I see what it needs and whatever. So that's how I've been doing
Okay.
Hitch.
So what's the man struggle that you saw there?
Okay. Well, from my experience being on the apps is just like the way that they take pictures. They just like, they'll use like a picture, they'll like scribble someone's face out. Like they can't just take a new
Right.
picture.
So
yeah,
you
they
weren't
look bad.
So the fish pictures weren't working for you,
No.
Anna? Oh, okay.
No. These
Notes
pictures,
to self.
These
Get rid of
don't
fish.
work either
Yeah.
when they're from down here.
Oh,
right?
right. Yeah.
I'm like, why?
Or the bathroom mirror.
Yeah,
selfie.
yes. When they're just like this, I just like. So then I started noticing like me picking apart because
Yeah.
I'm visually, I'm like
Yeah.
you, right? Like
Yeah.
I need so, like there's so many things that can be beautiful,
Mhm.
and they just are not, and they just could use a little bit
Mhm.
of that touch, right?
Definitely.
So then so then that's what I started seeing. It's just like these people, and I want to make people feel good because I feel good, right? And
Yeah.
so I think that it, like even when someone's just confident, when they have that,
Okay.
right? It makes a huge difference, right? So I had a client, and I got him off of Bumble or something, right? I just put my thing on. I got banned on Tinder. Because I was doing this, and I'm like, okay, it's fine, because that wasn't a great avenue anyways. Like people were like,
No.
whoa, like why are you like, what about you? You don't want to go on a date? And I'm like, no, I'm just like, I'm helping people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So someone reported me, right? And
Oh,
just like
buddy,
got
okay.
banned.
Yeah.
But so I got someone who kind of wanted to give it a shot, and so I met him, and he had like. He'd just gotten through a divorce, and he was heavier. He lost some weight. His profile pictures were horrible. And so he just wanted to talk a lot, right? And we would meet for that. And then I got a couple other clients who did the same. And in that, like when I'm even just spending time with a lot of people, like they start, because I change perspective. That's what I like to do. Like I like to let them see something a little bit different, right? Just because they've seen this thing, this life, they're like this. They're like walking around like this.
Yeah.
Even some of the guys that I've been dating, right? Like same thing. And I'm like, well, like I'm so passionate. So I'll be the person that'll go outside and I'll be like, like the sun is my face. Like I'll feel that, but I'll feel it, right?
Mhm.
Like I'll
Yeah.
feel,
Yes.
and people don't do that, right? So
No, they don't.
so I had I had the two clients, and I'd take them shopping, and we, like
Oh,
just I
excellent.
tell them
Good,
what to
good,
do with
good.
their hair,
Yeah.
grow a beard, whatever. And
Relationship with self. We talked about that.
what's
right.
that?
So on one of our relationship episode, we talk about a lot about relationship with self.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
a relationship flourishes.
Yeah.
Or argumentatively, or relationship can also die when one or either party loses a perception of self and relationship of self, which then kind of gets in. You get into the confidence of the individual and all
Totally.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The lack of effort in oneself, which
Yes.
is exactly what you're talking about,
Which I need
because
to
there's a
touch
lot
on.
of, which is always that's always irritated me, because there was this is not, it's not a chat about me, but a brief. I grew up as an athlete, so from the age of like late teens, mid-teens to mid-20s, it was all about racing bikes, and I did that to a decent enough level and all of that kind of stuff, and lived in France and all of this kind of thing.
Cool.
But in there, and met Joe. That's what I met Joe in that period of time as well. But my point is that I grew up in an industry, let's call it an industry nowadays, because sport is, was that you had to have certain things done in a certain way by a certain age point, and you had to look a certain way, you had to be a certain weight, and all of this kind of thing, right? Yeah. It's advanced in now over the following decades, because now it's all about like the numbers that you're pushing, like all of that kind of stuff. It really has become a science. But my point is, as I left that world and came into Civvy Street, I can definitely remember the conversations where it's like, well, it's okay now, Simon. Like you're 30 years old. Why are you still trying so hard? And it's always, and it still bugs me. It's like, you're 40 now, Simon. Why are you still trying so hard?
Right.
You're 50 now, Simon. Why are you still trying so hard? I'm like, well, actually, I'm doing it because if I want to put a designer suit back on, and look, and kill it. Thank you
Absolutely.
very much. Yeah. Which I can still do that. So the amount of guys that I also know that have kind of hit a certain age and just like that, it doesn't really matter.
Like, why?
Yes.
Go get new shoes, right? Like, or get a haircut, or like it doesn't take much, though, especially for men. Like to go and like even a bad shirt.
The bare minimum of effort is
like,
too much
but even a bad shirt can look horrible. Yeah. Like it can make it look. It can just.
Oh, now I'm like really self-conscious about my Guinness shirt that I have on right
now.
No,
it's great. I love Guinness.
Okay, good. I mean, at least I have the nice shoes on with the cool socks.
Perfect, beautiful.
So, see, somewhere.
But it makes a big difference, though.
It does. Yeah.
It does. I don't understand how society has got to a stage where, like, people don't necessarily care about themselves. Because you mentioned earlier, just before COVID, like, you know, you would get up and you would do your hair.
Yes.
And you would make sure
I'm like, now I have to.
Because
now I'm on the market.
But when I lived in France, so when I lived in France for a period of 3 years, so 91 through to 93, and I remember one morning the maman, but her name is Anique, and Anique got up, and I just noticed, and she looked like immaculate. So I said to my buddy, I was like, "Where's maman going?" And he was like, "Oh, she's going to go do the grocery shopping."
Yeah.
But she literally looked like, I'm like, oh, okay. So again,
it makes a big difference.
And
like,
she was
even
exactly
everywhere
the same.
I go. Yeah.
All the way through.
But like, so everywhere I go, I'm even like, my confidence has, and I've done a lot of work. Like I've done like a lot of counseling. EMDR has been a big thing. Heard of that?
No.
Eye movement desensitization reprocessing. So I didn't grow up with my dad.
Okay.
So no father figure, right? So I'm like, at one point in like my dating world or my dating life, I was like, why am I putting these guys on like pedestals? And so I started like looking back, and then and I've always gone to counseling and been aware that there's like daddy issues or whatever. But so EMDR, you go back, so you have like these paddles, and they go back and forth, right? They vibrate back and forth.
Okay.
So that's the eye movement. And so before that, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm texting a guy, and then I get anxious and my stomach drops and all the things. She's like, well, what are you afraid of? And it's like abandonment. I'm never going to talk to them again. And then she'll go back and like, what does that say about yourself? What does that make you feel? And so she's like, go back to the first time you felt those feelings, that anxious, the stomach drop, whatever. And then I would go back, and then like just these moments would come up. And this, for example, I had like, you know, I got boobs first, right, in grade 6. And my guy friends would come up behind me and like grab my boobs. And so then I'm like, and I didn't do anything, which now I would have been like, you know, like I would have done something. I'm like tough right now, right?
Yes.
And so I would come back, and she'd be like, well, how does that make you feel? It makes me feel worthless, small, all the things.
Yep.
And then she's like, well, what would you want to do if you were in a room with them? And then it was like, and I'm like, bloodbath. Like I want to just beat them, right? Yep. And so I'd go back in my thought and picture this happening. And then I'd come back, you know, it's just conversation, right? And I'd cry, right? Like that's a big thing, like the processing part. And I'd go back to the moment. And then when I went back, I saw it as he was in front of me, like those friends who were grabbing me. So that changed, like that, whatever happened, the outcome changed for me. I like reprogrammed like the neural pathways. So then as an adult,
it's like different. A cognitive thought process.
Yeah.
And then goes into NLP, doesn't it? Neuro-linguistic programming and stuff
I guess
like that.
so. Yeah. It's
So-
fascinating.
Yes,
and
it
so I'm
is.
always telling people,
Yes,
I'm
it
like,
is.
just try it. Because people are scared too. People are scared of counseling and talking and opening up. And I'm so open. Are you? You're guilty?
I didn't do, because I look at where I grew up. Look at where I grew up. So I grew up in the UK.
Okay.
And my father and my mum and my dad never really talked. We didn't talk feelings.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, it was business, and plus it was. I look at the sport that I was in, right?
Right.
And the sport. If you spoke to me from the age of like 13 to 24, then there was no space for anything other than me being the best bike rider that I could possibly be, and all of that kind of stuff, right? So it was all, and a part of being an athlete is that you shut all of that stuff down.
Yeah.
Because as an endurance athlete, you're living in pain, period.
Yeah.
So so you're waking up, yes, you're doing your stretching, all of this kind of stuff, whatever. We're still going to go out, do 4 or 5 hours. And if we need to do 20 hill repeats, then we're going to do 20 hill repeats.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Probably puking at the top every single time. And that's what we're going to do. So everything's suppressed.
Right. Have you seen Iron Claw?
Not yet.
Oh, you should watch it.
I get all of it.
It's to that. Yeah. You
And
should
it's
watch it.
so again, coming back to the relationship game, when I met when Joe and I first met, I was probably at the peak of that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No crying.
Yeah.
None of this. Like, yes, we'd have fun and we'd laugh, and we still do, and and all of this kind of thing. But the emotional side of me, I've had to unlock or allow to come to the fore. So kind of like what you've already noticed, right, in guys.
Yes.
For me, that came through the corporate world.
Okay.
In terms of what I was subjected to over a few months, years. That again, Joe was kind of like, well, you need to. She arranged it basically. She was kind of like, okay, well, this is a lady that you want to go sit down and talk to. And I did all of that, and then when I did it, but it's interesting. It was interesting, the conversation, because the tone of the conversation. And I remember asking me this question. She was like, "Simon, what do you want?" And my response was, "I just need somebody to tell me that I'm a good human.
Oh.
I just need somebody to tell me that I'm a good human, and I need somebody to work that out, because what I've gone through the last little bit."
Cry.
Don't, because I'm
got
right
Kleenex
on the. I'm right there. I'm right there with you as well.
I'll hold it together. I'll hold it together.
It was. I just need somebody to tell me that I'm a good human, because for the last 18 months, 2 years, that's not been the case, and that's where it started. But similar to you, we talked about dad. How's your relationship with dad? How's your relationship with mum? My mum, she's not able-bodied, so she grew up through me and my sister.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was like, go after it, son. Like she's never ever told me no to anything.
Oh.
Never ever. Like she wouldn't do that. Now, would she be scared? Because it'd be like, hey, mum, I'm going to go live in France, and I'm like 18 years old, and she's like, yeah, are you sure? Like, yeah, well, what can go wrong?
Yeah. Oh, interesting. She
wasn't
wasn't there like as a like a nurturing.
She was
advice?
there, but look at how she grew up, right? Because she grew up in the 60s. I was born in the 70s, so she came up through this. She was number one. She was told that she couldn't have a promotion at work in the banking industry because she was a cripple. Oh, there you go. So, and then her mindset was, well, screw you, I'm going to succeed anyway. Yeah. So that's exactly what she did.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was the, hey, mum, I've been thinking. But she was also smart enough to know that my sister and I went for her for validation. For me, I would go still kind of validation rather than I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think?
Right. Okay.
Because she was, and it's interesting to see the same dynamic in my kids. My son will come to Joe and I for a chat, and I've been thinking, and what do you think?
Okay.
And, there's a discussion.
Yeah.
Daisy's that she's me. She's a validation. What do you think to da 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 da? And it's like, go for it, baby.
Yeah.
She's like, okay,
Yeah.
and whoosh, off
Yeah.
she goes.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what I'm saying was more our kind of thing. So
Right.
yeah, I had to unpack the thing, but before that particular time, I wasn't a believer, but I am a believer of it now.
So important.
Oh,
And
it's
I-
so important.
And I didn't discover this until way too late, until marriage number 2 was
Oh,
on the rocks.
interesting.
Yeah. Because that was when I first, and we've talked about this in previous episodes
Yeah, we
as
have,
well.
yeah.
The concept of love languages, which I had no idea about until we were already in anger, resentment mode in
Yeah.
marriage number 2.
Because guys are not like,
So-
I'm gonna Google.
Right.
I'm gonna Google my love
Yeah.
languages,
No,
right?
Yeah, right? No, exactly. It's
Now they
yeah.
do. Now some of
Yeah.
them do.
Yeah.
Now they know. I'm like,
Boys
oh,
do
yeah.
it.
I didn't even know
Boys
that
do
was
it.
a thing.
It means, my God.
I didn't even know it was a thing until you mentioned it.
Yeah, and it
it's
instructs,
important.
right? And it
'Cause
instructs
it's how
the
you
way.
give and how you receive,
Yes,
right?
yes, and I think sometimes people just, and they even said that, where people just leave it as what are your love languages? It depends on what you're giving, what you receive. They're
Yeah.
two different
It's two different things.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
'Cause
What
I
I
like
give
doing,
is
I
not
like
what I
giving
want to
gifts
receive.
and like doing little fun things.
Yes.
But somebody buys me a gift, I'm like, oh, I feel bad. I didn't get you anything, right? And then I'm like thinking about now I have to like repay this person.
Yeah.
So it's like physical touch and quality time,
Mhm.
which the quality time these days
Yeah.
with men
So what
is tough.
So okay, so what's quality time then, or what does?
How do you define it?
Yeah.
I suppose?
So
Is it subjective? Is it just personal?
yeah, I guess it would. Like, I feel like, because for me, I'm very busy. Like, I'm very social. I'm out all the time. But then also, like, in contrast to that, I'm with my kids. I'm with, I'm relaxing, I'm doing the mom thing. I'm going to hockey practice. I keep saying soccer because my son played soccer for so long. And I even sent him like this text. I'm like, good luck tonight. And I send him a soccer ball. And I'm like, oh. And so he's like, I don't play soccer. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm sorry. I forgot. It just like came out. So I'm very balanced, right? Like that. So, but I don't have a lot of time. But I will make time for like a guy that I'm like interested in, or that I'm, that's important to me. So for me, like at least once a week. This is a thing I'm like, I'm not asking for a lot. I don't feel. Yeah. At least once a week, and then a plan, because then I start getting like, oh, well, we're going to see each other. Is like, he's not making a plan. And these are the things in Hitch that I'm working on too. So I'm doing like the matchmaking, and I'm also in it, right? So I've made this guy. He's very high level. He's very successful, extremely busy. So a lot of the time, like he will just have to go somewhere last minute. Like he'll have to fly somewhere. And so I matched him up with a really great match. She's incredible. And out of that, like, she's like, oh my God, she's like, if he's not going to be my partner, he'll be like my best friend. Like that was the connection. And I'm like,
right.
So I did it.
Good.
Right. And so I'm good at, so the connecting part is like where I'm strong. Right. So in that, she's like, I see her and she's like, well, he's not like making a plan now. Like he's not like, and it's just like, okay, if men knew what women go through, like on the back end, when they're not texting or whatever, like they're actually, because women think about these guys a lot, right? Like it's just what it is, right? And men are like thinking about work or their schedule, their day, or their kids or whatever, like that's where their mind is. So they're not thinking about how important it is for like a, hey, just thinking about you kind of text, or like, hey, Friday plans.
The just thinking about you text goes a long way.
It goes
boys.
so far.
Oh my God. Trust me.
And so I'm trying to like, with the,
I have personal experience.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did you take from that?
Oh yeah. Just definitely be in communication a lot more than what may feel natural. I mean, us guys, broad general statement. Sometimes we introvert a little bit, especially if something's not working.
Yeah.
It could be a business thing not working properly, whatever it is, and you introvert and not communicate with the people.
Like I had a conversation with this young guy. He's like, he's 29, and so it didn't work out. And I didn't have time to pick his brain. But he's just like, no, I just don't want to like make it her problem. And I'm like, well, you're not making it her problem. Like that she just wants to be there for you to bounce off of, right? Or even just like be there. So even if you're saying you're unloading, or you feel like you're unloading this big thing, it's important that she knows that, like that's a big thing.
It's the idea behind men wanting to solution Whereas I'm not exactly sure if I'm getting this right, but women aren't asking for a solution.
Yeah, they just want to be heard.
Yeah, right. So
Yes, give me a voice.
yeah,
Which is which I think that is very societal as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's people, and I mentioned this to Jace. Like I'll send him a text. I'll send my wife a text, son, daughter, friends, whatever. And in fact, I messaged one of my friends back in the UK, and again, not because, like, I know the fact is she's going through a tough time at the minute.
Yeah.
One of her daughters is sick.
Oh.
And so I pinged her. I was like, hey, what's going on? How's her name's Barbara, so I called her daughter Little Bob. I was like, how's Little Bob doing? And that was it. And it was just, and I said to him the other day, in fact, I called him, and he was like, well, what's up? And I was like, nothing. I was just thinking about you. So I'd call him. Said that, and it's
huge.
That's the thing, right? And I think that's meeting that, and the same, like, I'll travel. It's a 20-minute journey to get home, but there'll still be a phone call into Joe.
Yeah.
Coming home now, and
Yes.
whatever, and all of this kind of stuff.
The word that comes to mind right now is burden. I try to do everything in my life so I'm not a burden to anyone.
Well,
why
would you be a burden?
No, but it's especially when things aren't working well and you have a lot of problems going on. I myself don't want to burden people with that. So frequently, like, I just experienced all this fun little hurricane in the past 3 months, and it's all coming end of my father going into hospital long term from a fall, a business venture that just didn't work out, and I was out of work and looking for a new thing, as well as that was enough, and communication was probably breaking down with that relationship I was in at the time, because I didn't want to burden her with my shite that was happening in my life, but the relationship had done its course anyway, and I think in that time it's like probably best to, so I guess I triple down, I suppose, on the things, but I don't want to burden anyone. That's always the thing. So, like, you even noticed that too. I kind of went into, I was not super communicative outside of these awesome podcasts that we do, but I wasn't super communicative outside of the podcast. Like, I disappeared.
To your point, I can see it in his eyes.
Yeah.
So, and I've said on a few of our openings, I'm like, oh, he's back now, because I can see him coming.
Like,
I can see, I can see him kind of light up.
I'd say at least episode 2, 3, 4, and maybe 5. It was definitely during a pretty harsh time, and I could see it too in my face. Like, I am 60% into this conversation we're having. The other 40% is my brain churning through all the other crap that I need to deal with outside of this podcast. Right? So,
but there's an interesting thing that's coming into my head that's definitely relevant for Hitch, what you're doing. And just by the way, I love what you're doing with Hitch, because I think it's the right way to do. Because
good name too.
Because I know,
it is. It's
right.
I was like,
we know exactly
like
what
the
they're talking
movie.
about. We know exactly what you're talking about. It's not about trailer hitches.
No. But when you Google it,
but it's bringing humans back together again.
Totally.
Because we have a career in IT, in technology, and technology is awesome.
Yeah.
But technology is awesome for certain specific things.
Yeah.
In communication, and in every review that I've either read, watched, spoken about, that's where all of the experts in the industry apparently are pushing this. Like, it's how you apply the technology.
Right. Yeah, because it could be terrible. Like, it could be like a downfall of communication.
And
love.
Yes. And that's what, and that I think in relationships, that's where everything starts to fall apart, or again transversely increases.
100%
is when
it's communication.
Is the communication.
Yeah, when that breaks down.
Did I not say to you this week, like, just be nice to Anna, because she's going to turn up with her boxing gloves, because one of the pictures on her website is in front.
Oh, that's right.
Have you been to Rumble?
No, not yet. No.
Ooh, it is fun, because you go into a dark room. So that's the thing too. It's not like you're in a bright a bright room. But you go into a dark room and it's like lights and loud music, and then there's an instructor, and you have actual like gloves on, and you're hitting your bag. It is so therapeutic.
Is it?
Interesting.
Love it. You have to. This is the thing. So this is what I'm trying to get people.
I like your eyes.
Experience.
Is it?
It is. I'm down
Okay,
for
then.
anything. This is the thing. This is how I live life. And people be
Cool.
like,
Come on, 100 kilometer bike ride with me then.
oh, on a what?
100-kilometer bike ride.
I would do it.
You may
I
take
would
me a
do
few
it.
days.
The thing is, I don't doubt you.
I would do it. So some people are like, hey, you want to do this thing on Friday? And I'm like, yeah. And then Friday will come, I'll be like, so
Yeah.
what are we doing? Right? Like, I'm just like,
Oh,
but
you're
people
holding
are
us
so
to that now, aren't you?
scared.
Yes.
Yeah, I will. I'll do it.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
People are so scared.
Yeah, they are.
And so I'm trying, this is what I'm trying to do. So I'm actually trying to work, because I'm moving it more into like focusing on like the matchmaking and the lifestyle coaching. Because I feel like I'm doing good at life. Like, I'm starting to build this business, yes, and it's at the beginning, right? It feels like, but it's starting to snowball, right? It's starting to get bigger.
People clearly need help.
Totally, like
Because
more people than you would think,
Yes.
right? Like
Yeah.
I agree.
more than none, or you know.
I
Could
agree.
be getting worse. Over
Yes.
time. Yes.
It's
for sure.
like with COVID, with social media, with like everybody being comfortable like this with a screen in front of their face,
God, it
like,
drives me nuts.
and I see it even like in some of like my friends and my close circle of friends. I give them a lot of advice, and even the things that they ask me, it's like it's very basic things, but I'm 40, right? And some of them are like, you know, in their 30s or whatever, and because I've experienced life and the way that I'm living life really works, right? And so I go into a room, it doesn't matter if it's like my event or my party, but I make it like I almost like take it on, like I'm like, I did this, everybody's here because of me, you know, like, but that's like my mentality, which is huge, which is so like magnetized, I guess, right? It's just like confidence is huge.
Oh my goodness, yes. And it matters. I mean, to make it about me for a second, but no, it's true. And actually, that's where I kind of and it's neat to talk about. I'd like to talk about the apps and how that kind of thing helps me when it comes to the confidence game. So I'll explain. First off, I'm a musician. So
okay, what do you play?
Guitar and sing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And that's where I get to peacock.
I nearly had a
guess.
really bad joke then.
Yeah, because you got to feel like
Yeah.
on stage.
And when I'm on stage, I eat it up. It's shameful.
Yeah.
But I do.
Take it
Yeah.
in. Feel that. That's the thing.
Yeah, and I found you don't have to be the greatest singer in the world, but if you own that effing mic,
It's the vibe.
Yeah.
You're creating like that's a big thing.
Last night,
Well, you're entertaining.
last night I was invited to karaoke with my friend, so I went to karaoke and I knocked it out of the park.
Just saying.
Oh,
I was going to say, even though I do say so
yeah,
myself.
I
did great.
You'll be impressed with this one too. I did "Somebody to Love" by Queen.
Did you?
I did.
Did you
And
though?
I
Did
effing
you do
nailed
it? Did you
Is
do
it
George
recorded?
Michael?
No, but
George
yeah.
Michael levels? We
Oh.
talking?
It was good. It was good, and I had the crowd going and everything like that.
Oh,
it was just,
good.
but it was just because I get up on stage and I immediately require your attention, and you know it.
Funny.
And,
See, I'm the
and-
opposite. Like when there's this, I'm like, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
like.
yeah. So, but yeah, and it's funny because that does not as easily translate to a knowing I'm in a dating situation going into like possibly something like a meetup or gathering of sorts.
Right.
I don't know how to break that immediate ice at first. I'm okay. Like,
Yeah.
as you see, we're talking right now, and I only just met you,
Right,
so it's not a problem. But
Yeah.
it's that first little,
Totally.
especially with a crowd, like, oh Jesus Christ! Like,
Yeah.
it's not a confidence, but I just don't know.
No, but it's
Sometimes.
different. Like
Yeah.
even at my Rumble event, like people were like, men were here, women were here. And I'm like, what is happening?
Like, it's like
We're
a high school
adults.
gym.
Yeah, that's
Always
what it
one-
was. I was
yeah.
like, and so that's what happens.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so in my events, because I don't like the Calgary speed dating stuff. This is like not my
Yeah, I've
vibe.
never done it in my life.
I've
and I
never
don't think
even
I'll
I've
try
never gone to it, but then I have friends who are like, oh my god, you should go, just like whatever. I'm like, you go. Let me know how it is, right? And they're like, they could have used some of the people that go there. They're all like awkward. They don't look great, you know. And that's a big thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, there's some folks that try and put process into it, don't they? You know what I mean? Like when they're speed dating, it's kind of like, well, let's...
Or like an
It's
interview.
like 7 minutes.
Like a
Talk
little-
here.
yeah.
Talk. right? But for me at my events, I'm like, so I had at Rumble, I had half the people go into the class and they did like a heavy bag class, and then the other people were doing truth or dare. So I bring like the kid aspect
That's
into
fun.
it, because I'm like a big kid,
Yeah.
right? Like I just joke all the time, and I'm like, I don't
Everybody
take
is.
myself too seriously. I laugh at myself, right? And so that actually helps people, but it's fun. It's not
Right.
cheesy or corny, you know?
And I found that the ice breaking, I think that's where the dating apps can help some people. So the dates,
The dating
I'll tell you why. So
This is a chat,
Yeah.
Jason. This is not an argument.
No. I'm just saying.
Give it to me.
This is one thing.
What about the dating
I find
apps?
the entire dating industry can pendulum swing where before the apps it was always you had to meet at a bar, and then after that it's only on apps and no one goes to the bar. And
Yeah.
you know what? There's shades of gray in between them all, right?
Yeah.
I personally, and if any of my ex-girlfriends are watching this, I've had way more success I've had very bad success in things like Tinder, but good success in apps like Hinge. Because with Hinge, I can start to let my personality shine through in those answers.
Oh, so it's more of like your ability to portray yourself in a way.
I look fun.
Yeah.
I look fun on my answers,
Yeah.
and when I start talking to somebody, that just broke the ice, because they're usually with Hinge you can respond to
certain things.
right?
Yeah,
So and I tend to get when there's ones like, oh, you're cute, when they say it to a picture, I'm
Yeah.
like I tend not to bother as much, but when they hook onto something I've said and then they riff off of that, then bang, conversation goes.
And I've
then
actually gone
they're on
and
a
like
date,
kind of
so.
looked at someone and not been really interested, but then they would say something, and
Yeah.
then I'd be like, okay, that's clever.
So that's
Yeah.
that's my thing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
There's
how,
some humor
That's
there.
how Jason
Yeah.
works.
There's some humor there.
And that's the thing that's like, so for me, I get to know people very intimately. So if I meet someone, usually they're telling me their life story, like it just right there,
Yeah.
right? But I'm interested, I ask the questions, but now I'm like, no, well, hold on, because it's a lot of my energy, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, so
Oh
now
my
I
goodness,
need to like, I'm more trying to like work into like, and not because I don't want to do it because I want to do it, but because this is like my energy, this is my time.
Yes.
I'm trying to monetize, right? Like I'm trying to more so kind of work it so it is a service in my business,
Yes.
right?
So where are you thinking of taking this? What do you see the future? What's the future of Hitch?
Okay,
Yeah.
because I get feedback from a lot of people, and I call people right after my events, like that kind of stuff. And I meet, I'll meet a millionaire and I'll be like, can I pick your brain? Right? Like, I just want to like understand. So I get a lot of feedback, and advice. I want it to be, my idea as of not too long ago was to have like a online community, but I create like micro events.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's almost like this community that, maybe a subscription, not sure just yet, where they can kind of sign up to go to these events, and then they can see who's going to the events. But at the same time, I'm still bringing in people organically. So I'm almost like doing the dirty work, right? Because I don't like a bad vibe. So for me, a good vibe is so if any negative, shitty people, it's one of those things where I'm like, we can work
Stay
together.
away.
Yeah, but because it's like poison.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, a poison
Right?
pill.
So people ask, they're like, well, how are you like vetting these people, right? And I'm like, as ridiculous as it sounds, it's a vibe, right? Because I'm so sensitive to it.
Gut instinct.
Oh yeah,
100%.
yeah. So when I connect it, like even my friends, they're all like hanging out and they're all like exchanging numbers when I bring someone in, because it's a good connection. It just fits, right? And I'm good at it.
Excellent. Okay, fine. I'll
Yeah.
go to the next one. You have.
Yes, please do it. I'm trying to think what it's going to be. It's because I want it to be good. Like as much as like people, I create a good vibe.
Yeah.
So it's like, even if someone comes to my house, it's like the lights are low because I like low lights, and like it'd be like candlelight, and it'd be like
Mood lighting.
and it's just like good music,
We can do
and we're
mood.
just chill.
We can turn the lights down.
We could do that right now.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
Yeah, right. It's too sterile.
Like, it's so bright in here.
Because we ask hard-hitting questions with bright lights.
Yes, hot, a little bit hot.
Okay. So that's how you see it going. So
yes. Oh, and the matchmaking, and because that's what I want to work on, but I want to scale the business. So I'm thinking of even like a course, but like a video kind of course where I wanted to write a book. Also, there's so many things.
There's so much,
but it all
stuff.
works together. Yeah.
Well, there's the. I mean, it's almost like our next question was the modern relationship game, and why it's so difficult to find folks to vibe with. Which I think we've chatted about that, haven't we? But then it's the technical side. But it almost sounds, again, I'll come back to the fact of that. Sounds like you're pretty much reverse engineering, like the old way of just
totally. I want to bring it back. Yes,
meeting people.
Yeah, like I had a lunch yesterday, and of course the guys stay at the end because they want to talk.
Yeah, they do.
They want to talk, and they always catch me, right? Like, and so I'm like the only girl left, and I'm like,
here we go.
But I like it.
Orderly line, gentlemen. Orderly lines.
I do enjoy it. But he admitted, like, he's like, I don't want to do the chase anymore. And I'm like, and so this has been a big thing, this masculine, feminine,
battle.
Energy. Yeah. So it's like men by nature are pursuers, are hunters, right? Mm-hmm. And women, they allow it to, you know what I mean? Like, so the men these days are not doing those things. And the things that the women are asking are not unreasonable, right? So even just to be courted, the door to be like, so when people do, when guys do it, I'm like, well done.
Not dead.
No,
Bloody
it's not
hell.
dead. But it's getting there. Like people are like, they're getting lazy there. And then like, and on these dating apps, as much as there are like, there can be some beautiful women, amazing women who have their heads on good. There are the women who are like, oh, come over. So it's making a lot of this, like, it's making like sex more attainable and easy for men.
Yeah. So
then they're just getting lazy. Whereas like they're like the women in like that I have in my back pocket are incredible. They're gorgeous. And I'm just like, it's like I'm like attracted to it. So when I go out, I'm like, I just get in the bathrooms, right? I get phone numbers, right?
Oh,
like,
I've seen attractive girls. They're just like magnets.
Well, and I love having and confidence. So a lot of like some people that don't have the confidence up there. It's not really like I'm not always like, hey, come out with us, like, because then I have to kind of hold hands and you know what I mean? Like it's, and I don't.
A litmus test is whether a relationship's not working with me is if I slip on opening doors. I'm a habitual door opener. Have been as long as I've ever known.
And you just walk through.
Yeah.
I opened the door, actually, ladies.
I am beside I don't mean to take away from you about your mid thought, but I far too many times I see on TV or especially things like 90 Day Fiancé where they walk up to a car and I'm like, he's not even gonna open the door for her. I'm just like, are you kidding me?
Good though. That's there.
Yeah.
This last guy that I was dating, he would go in the door. He wouldn't even hold the door open for me sometimes, and I'm like.
Yeah.
Okay. We also ended it because he thinks I'm too sensitive. Because he's not. No, he's not sensitive enough. Is what his thing was. Oh. Because he didn't grow up with like being emotional and all that kind of stuff. So when me being very healthy, I do it and I'll cry if it's a beautiful thing or he's like, what do I do? I'm like, nothing. Just like accept it. But he couldn't even do that. He was more used to. That toxic
process, yeah. Yes, thank you for that. Let's move on to the next point.
Yes. Okay. It's bizarre to me.
Dynamic. Yeah. It is bizarre though.
No, I had to give him because I give people perspective. I take pictures. Like I'm like I guess I'm very visual. I can't not take a picture if it's amazing. Then I'm not going to pass it, right? And so we were walking. I took a picture, and he's like, and I'm like. And he told me about his past. And so I'm like, okay, perspective. What problem would you rather have? Like me annoyingly taking pictures and enjoying life? Because I was stopping the A to B, right? And so then I'm like, so me annoyingly taking pictures every now and then, embracing life and seeing the beauty in life. Yeah. Or the problem of like, okay, you went out with your guys tonight? Did you talk to girls? who don't fucking lie to me. Did you talk to any girls tonight?
Yeah.
Like, would you rather have that? Because that's
Yeah.
what he had, right? And I'm like, okay,
Yeah, no.
Wow.
fine, goodbye,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It's
insane.
maddening.
Yeah.
It's
It is
maddening.
maddening.
Yeah,
It is maddening.
Oh,
But then
my
it-
goodness.
because it
so
all-
many toxic things.
there really is, and
happen.
people just need to look at their things.
If anyone asks
Yes.
to look
Walk
at
around
your
with your eyes open.
if anyone
Yeah.
asks to look at your phone, go running and screaming. You
Yes,
should
like
not.
if someone's gonna cheat, they're gonna cheat. Doesn't matter
Yeah,
if you're looking
exactly.
at their phone
Yes.
or whatever, right?
I've never had
learned
that. I've luckily never had a relationship where somebody asks to look at my phone. Not
Yeah.
that I have anything to hide,
Yeah,
but the fact you're even asking that
yeah. I'd
question.
be
is
like,
come
no,
on. I've never
yeah,
asked.
I'm not doing this.
I've never asked in
Yeah.
return. I don't want to look at your
and
phone.
that's on
so-
them. That's all their issue.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
But they don't see that. So for me, if I'm gonna work with someone or like have someone enter this community or whatever it is, they have to be at the very least self-aware.
Yeah.
The very least self-aware.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm like, if anybody has feedback for me, like on their experience with me, which doesn't happen often, like being, like I asked a guy one time, like, so what? Like what makes you like into it and then not? What's that? Like what happens there? And then they're like, no, you're amazing. You're Anna. And I'm like, okay, well, what does it mean though? Like where in the equation does it, like when you're like, no, this isn't gonna work for me. But people can't even like articulate that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of men can't articulate it. So this is what I'm trying to help,
There you are.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see
It's
that.
funny you said that because it's just me personally being recently single.
Yeah.
I know that I just know I have this thing right now where if I were to try to be dating, I know that I just know how I am. I would probably get into a situation where I just kind of something clicks in my brain. I'm like, I just don't want to do this right now. Like, I'm not ready for this.
Yeah.
I'm not ready
And
for
then
it.
it's like self-sabotage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
and I've done
I'd
it.
much rather not even try it
Yeah.
right now, just because I
Yeah.
know
Or I
we
don't want
don't
to get
need to.
hurt. Like that's one of
Yeah.
those things. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is
Well, it's not
scary.
so
It's
much a
getting a little
hurt
bit
thing.
hard, right?
Yeah, oh, it's
But now
fun.
I'm like,
roller
no.
coasters are fun. The
Yeah.
highs and lows. Are all good.
Yeah.
I have no problem
Well,
with
if
that.
there's no chance, like if there's a risk of you feeling, this is someone told me, if there's a risk of you feeling down here, but you get to feel up here for, like that, I'd
Right.
take that risk.
Right.
Whereas a lot of people are like, no, it's getting a little lovey, it's getting a little
Yeah.
heavy, and then they bail.
I think it's because when I say taking the time off, you can get inside your head sometimes. If you're
Totally,
too-
yeah. If you're not
too-
fully healed, then you're bringing
right,
everything
exactly.
into the new
and I
one.
don't
Yeah.
want to carry on it stop to another.
Totally.
So yeah.
Well, I wonder how. I'm curious how much of this goes back to. So there's a report out there, a psychiatrist report, and it talks about the separation. So it's essentially when, like, you're born, you get to a certain age, and then you separate from family.
Right.
And when I was growing up, like that happened usually at around about 15, 16
Okay.
years old. Okay, so you left school and you went to work, and the fortunate ones either went on to university or did
Right.
something different, right?
Yeah.
So what they basically say is at that point, like maturity really starts to
Mm-hmm.
happen at 15, 16 years old, because you've got to figure stuff out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you're at that point, you're trusting people more, you're respecting people more, because you need the connection in people to be able to get on in life.
Yeah.
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 What they're now saying is that 15, 16 age bracket has now been pushed to like 25, 26,
Oh, interesting.
because that separation's not happening, because people are still like, the system is you stay in high school, you graduate high school, you go to university.
Yeah.
Not
So
done university until 22 to 24.
Mm-hmm.
there you go.
Yeah.
So all of the like meeting people, your forever person, all of that kind of stuff
Yeah. It's like
is
bumped.
happening. It's
Yeah,
bumped out
yes,
like
yeah,
10 years,
yeah.
right?
And of
Add
course
to
the
that-
economic things as well, so whether people can afford to
Economic
as well.
responsibility,
Totally. So
economic
different.
maturity. Then you get into the fact that society's worked pretty damn hard to take competition out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't compete It's like, but that's not
Oh
a
God,
reality.
I know.
Like a
Like
fun,
no, we're playing sports so we can win.
Yeah.
That at the end, like with the
Right.
kids,
I
like that
know.
kind of
I
stuff.
do it for the
it's real,
participation
it's
rate.
real
drives me
life.
bonkers. So I mean,
know.
funny.
We're
funny
there.
is-
We're scoring goals for what? For fun? You
Yeah.
know, like there's
It's
no
right.
end goal.
Right.
So I did probably 2 years ago now, but anyway, I did a mountain bike event in Camwell.
Yeah.
And I just had a bad day. It was just not a good day at the office. Anyway, I finished, called it a day, and Daisy, my daughter, just walked up to me and she could see I was miffed. You know, I just wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And anyway, so she lets me kind of mumble and moan at Joe and all of that kind of thing. And then she just looks at me and I immediately start to smile because I kind of knew what was coming. I wasn't expecting the words, but she just kind of went, "Today, Dad, you get the participation medal, okay?" And just taps me like this, turns around and walks off. I'm like, "You little..."
You get something.
So, but it was perfect, right?
Yep.
Back down to reality, back to loving things again.
Yeah.
But what I guess I'm saying is that what we're talking about is the result of all of those things coming together where a lot of folks, like, they haven't had to work out stuff. Do you know what I mean? So they don't like relationships. There isn't a utopia for having a relationship forever, right? You're never in a constant state of high.
No,
Right.
You've got to
it's
work.
impossible to
You've got to
maintain it.
right. You've got to work.
Yes.
You have to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah,
Like, you
but
have
that's
to
what people
work.
are not used to. Like, and so when somebody's been on the apps for
There
a
you
long
go.
time, they're
Oh,
not
my
used to,
goodness.
like, I'm used to working 16 years and trying to make something work, and it's
Right.
all like this.
So that's what you're seeing in the apps. Then people just give
Oh
up.
yeah, they're like, oh,
They
this
just
is
give up
hard.
on each other
I'm
then.
gonna find something else because it's so easy to find
Well,
someone else.
you get
Right.
this high dopamine effect. I mean, whenever I'm on them as well, I'm riding high, and it almost becomes compulsive. I need to check my phone to see if there's another message.
Oh
right?
yeah, it's like an
And-
addiction.
Yeah, it is. And then
Yeah.
once you get into a relationship, every time after, that's one drawback from the apps for sure.
Yeah.
Is after I've been on the apps and I've been talking to people and then get into a relationship with somebody, then it's that decision to, okay, we're going to be exclusive.
We're getting
There's
off the
that.
apps.
Oh my goodness, it's like getting off of sugar.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it's like you're like you look at
But
your
that's
phone
what
and you
and
go.
that's people are scared of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was doing that too, right?
Yeah.
And then so I haven't been on the apps for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then every now and then I'll go. Something happened not too long ago, and I'm like, I'm like healing. I'm like, I want to be, and then I get on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I just want to see.
No, I've been
I just
there.
want to see what's on.
I'm never
what's
doing
on
this
the-
again.
But then,
2 weeks later,
but
shit.
mind shifts. I know. Like,
Yeah.
But like mind shifts. Like for me, like I noticed, like if I'm in something, because that last guy, he was the emotionally unavailable one, and so I'm like, I got hurt, and so I'm like, okay, I'm done with these like emotionally unavailable, avoidant men. I'm done with it, and so I made that like a conscious, decision to change, and so this is like, because I'm very like energetically whatever, like I'm aware spiritually, like things like that, so I believe in like manifestation and all that kind of stuff, and believing whatever you want and it happens. So after that, when I went on the app for like a day or so, I met a couple guys, and they were very like, so for me, I make connections everywhere I go, right? And so not a lot of people make those connections, and so they think when they're with me and they've had this connection, they're like, oh, like, what have I found? And then so like the two guys, they're like, oh, I really like you. And I'm like, just hold on.
Yeah, calm
Just hold.
yourself.
And I wasn't feeling it. So, but the
Just
thing
calm
is,
yourself.
yeah, calm down.
Bloody
Just
hell.
give it a little bit of time. I joke with my girlfriends because we're very like, so as much as like, it can be amazing, it can also be exhausting, like to be with someone like me, right? Like, I'm passionate and I say the shit that I want to say. Like I say my feelings now, because if I don't, it's just going to fester. And then I get weird, I get anxious, all that kind of stuff. But I made the change and it happened. Like, that's how powerful it is. It's just like, I started seeing these different guys. I just wasn't into them.
Yeah.
But still, right? Like, it was just, it happened.
Right. And one thing you said earlier was the chase. And I sometimes feel Yeah, it's like this guy laughing already.
No.
What's he going to say now?
I'm chuckling
Yeah.
because I know when you say that and Joe
Yeah.
hears it on when we release
Yeah.
this episode, she's going to laugh. She's going to. She's literally going to. Yeah, she'll be like, yeah, right.
I think guys conflate. There's a narrow line between chasing and stalking, and I don't mean that in a weird. I'm not sure if that's
no.
the right.
Yeah.
If I think some guys may not be able to understand that the girl might be interested in you and wants you to chase,
Well, I don't know how
as
much.
opposed to like, oh my god.
Yeah,
like,
there's some
he's
guys
not
that are
getting
just
the message.
oblivious.
Yeah.
I don't know if this
Where
is
I
trash
need to
media,
help them.
but isn't there a lady somewhere in the world just been kind of done because she sent a guy?
Oh yeah, like
11
13,000 or 700,000.
Oh, I saw
Oh,
that.
wait, I have-
That's gotta be,
Yeah,
that
come
can't be real,
on.
right? That's got to
Yeah.
be trash
Wait.
media,
If
right?
I send a message to a guy and he doesn't get back to me, I will never send a message.
Oh my god, yeah.
Until he gets
Oh.
back to me. It could be forever, right? But
Oh.
I'm not doing that anymore. I used to be a chaser, and that's like so.
No,
A lot of
yeah, no.
my beautiful friends, like single ladies, they are all in their masculine because men have made this change where they're just like not in it. They're scared. I met with Men's League. You know, have you heard of Men's
No,
League?
what is it?
So they focus on like men's mental health,
Okay.
Sorry.
which is incredible. Did you find it?
I did. Okay.
I was going to say, let's stop. Let's do everything
stop
that
this
you want.
conversation.
Yeah, right. Boy, is Jason
Let's hear it.
ADHDing again? Yes, he is.
Oh, ADHD. That's
Okay,
me.
so a woman got arrested after texting a guy 159,000 times after their first date. That was the one.
That can't be
Yeah,
right.
that's what you got it for me because my comment was, I'm curious, is the threshold 158,999 times?
Oh, yeah. Who was the
Did
last
she go
girl?
that one extra text too far?
Yeah.
I need to know for future dating behaviors.
I'm like, oh. Her thumbs and something must
crazy.
have
Oh, my
cramped
goodness,
up on her
right?
hand doing like,
Yeah.
"How? Come on.
Wow, yeah, that's
Yeah.
impressive, isn't
Come
it?
on. Or just
Blood,
pick
you
the
know.
phone up and talk.
People are just, they don't get it though these days. They're so, and especially if someone's been in a 20-year marriage.
Okay.
They're so lost and they don't know what to do. And so to the Men's League, when I had that conversation, he's like, a lot of men are confused. They don't even know. And I'm like, okay, so at the end of the day, default to being a man and just being you and being chivalrous and being a gentleman, right? But they're just like, they don't, because a lot of women too, they're like, no, I can open my own door, I can pay for my own thing, and I'm just
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh,
what I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
say. That's a yes.
I'm not dating them again if I get that.
no,
But it
Uh,
comes
why
Oh.
though? Like, why are you
Is it
like that?
exhausting
Just, like,
to you, then?
just take it. Just
Is it exhausting to you when you see that?
yes.
God.
And so many
Thank you.
people like they come to me for like advice, and it's just so simple.
Mhm.
And then also there's like so many, and for me, like I'm going back to just being authentic. And I'm
Yeah.
like, if I,
Oh.
like a lot of people are like, do I text him? I want to text him. I'm like, do you want a message?
Yeah.
Message. What's the worst that can happen?
Exactly.
Are you going to
What
die?
are you scared of?
Yeah,
What are you
but I
scared
do
of?
that. So one of the girls, she's like, no,
I like that.
I'm not going to die. I guess that'd be the
then
thing.
message.
It's not even the
Yeah.
worst, like.
Oh my god, and don't lie. Oh my goodness.
No, and
Because
like the
in the end-
catfishing.
yeah,
stuff
they're gonna
like
find
that.
out anyway.
And yeah, but the thing is that what makes me sad about that is like if someone has to lie about what they look like or put someone else's profile picture or
Ugh,
whatever,
yeah.
but if there's something that's
Yeah.
if it's that hard to get someone to just meet you,
Yeah.
that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Us
Like
catfished ones.
yeah, and then,
Back
but then
in-
but I'd be pissed off
Yeah.
if I showed up and if someone wasn't them or they were
Yeah.
you
Or misrepresenting photograph. Like
That's the
maybe it's a
thing.
person, but the photographs are 10 years old.
yeah, that's a
So,
lie.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a lie
Yeah.
to me. So
Yeah.
this is why the organic part of dating is
Yeah.
important.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
like I take pictures of a lot of people too. So it's like a lot of people I'm like, no, that's what they look like. Right? Like it's
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's
Yeah.
exhausting. Like how it is, but people are
Yeah.
just they're awkward, they don't know and
Just be
it's
yourself.
leading to these things.
Be yourself.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do. Like I'm
Yeah.
trying to
But
just
why
get
is
them
it-
to
this is
be
my-
themselves.
Well, my curiosity is how has society got it? How have we got ourselves into that state?
Gamification on the apps. The idea of one-upping the...
Mm.
You reckon
I
that?
think that's what it is. Yeah, I really
That's
think
a pretty
it's...
controversial statement. So
Right.
you're saying if we take all the apps away,
No.
No.
No. Because apps are
It's
good for
it's
some people.
also good practice. You know, like I tell people, like if they're like, especially if men or women, if they, because I've grown a lot in like the last 4 years. I've been single.
Yep.
And was not confident, and I was learning, and I started getting more confident, and I started seeing things that I liked in a man and a partner. And then playing around. Like I did have a little, part of that where I was just like, I'm just gonna say this now. I'm gonna sleep with everybody. It was one of those things. But that doesn't last for a long time either, because connected sex is so much better, right? Like when you have a connection, and then so you get sick of that. Even just the ease of, you can get on the app now and I can get someone tonight, right? If I really wanted to, but I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, so could I.
Yeah. But a lot of people.
Sorry. Anyway. Not a problem at all.
Yeah.
I'm just choosing not to.
Yes. Well, I'm
I
sat
just
here
don't
now.
want it.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I'm just sat here now going, well, yeah, me as well, actually.
Yeah. Right.
But so even people are I'm all about dating with intention too.
Yeah.
So I'm not, and so people are like, well, no, I'm just getting scratching this itch in the meantime before I find. I'm like, I get it, but if you want this end goal and you're putting energy into this and that, whoever, it's making that process slower.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of that though.
And many different levels of what attraction can be. Of course, there's a physical attraction, but for me, the thing that brings it over the edge is that mental connection.
Totally.
That's what has to bring it over.
100%.
And people need to be little more open-minded, because it is a lot about what they look like, and that's and so even women, they're like, okay, well, I'm like, well, what are you looking for? What do you like to do? And they're like, okay, well, I want him to be tall. And I'm like,
I've seen these numbers too. This is funny.
I get it.
Is it really?
Oh, it's insane. So
it's
yeah.
stupid.
The form.
No.
If you're tall, if you're 6 feet, you've already got 60% of a chance more than the other guy.
Yeah.
That's from what I've seen.
So this one person, I can't remember where I saw it.
I'm 5'14". So what does that mean?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw it on our favorite podcast where he was actually asking okay, this is the check boxes that generally speaking most women ask for. So 6 foot and over, 6-figure salary, this, that, and that.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, so we crunch numbers. You are setting yourself generally up for failure, because that is somewhere along the lines of 0.34% of the male population.
Huh.
So,
but also to kind of contradict that process as well, is that there's now more reports coming out that are stating that the more wealth and affluence individuals achieve, the less we're back to the closed-in type of individuals again, because empathy decreases, happiness decreases, and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah. But a lot of the time, people they just really need to just look at themselves. This is the biggest problem right now.
Yes.
I'm 5'10". I do okay.
I'm
5'10's good.
Once the girls swipe through all the 6 foot guys, it's
they're
5'10"
okay, will
fine,
do.
fuck.
Dude, you want to try my chat up lines? I can't remember I think Joe, what did she ask me if I did what I did? I was a bartender. So yes, we met at the bar because I was the bartender.
Yeah, that's different.
And then so my gig was, and I just worked to earn money so I could go back to France. That was the way it worked, right?
Okay, yeah.
But the bar that I worked in a bar until it closed, which is 11:30 at night. And then the same owner had a nightclub, so I would go down the street and then work from 11:30 to whenever we closed, 3 a.m, and stuff like that. So we met we were having a good time anyway.
Yeah.
When we met, and then 6 weeks later, I kind of said, okay, I'm going to go to France now for 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there was that. Well, no, we just
stayed.
It just happened. But in terms of what do you do? Coming back to your point of what do you do? It's I ride a bike fast.
Right. Yeah.
What else have you got? I haven't got anything.
Right.
I haven't got anything.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. With these guys, they don't have much to talk about because they've lived this life, which I can understand, and so they end up talking about their ex. Or their experience.
God, no. Never talk
that's
about
what I know, but
exes.
that's what happens.
Yeah.
And then because women are so understanding and listening, whatever, then they just go on and on and on and on.
Oh.
And so that's the thing too. So experiences are so important. So whether it's just like, you know, so if I'm working one-on-one with someone, I want them to experience things, even if it's like a hike, or if it's like, you know, the rumble thing, or like a dodgeball class, or, you know, or like a dodgeball game.
Freaking hilarious.
Right? But it's just like, it's you're kind of like, you're putting your guard down. And then when people know that when they're working with me and it's not a romantic relationship, then they just kind of like,
chill.
oh yeah. And then they're real again,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So I've caught 3 major things here for guys to be successful. Be under 6 foot.
Yes. Number one.
Talk about your ex.
Be a bartender.
I forgot what the third one was. But
Don't go to counseling.
yeah, don't go to counseling.
bartender.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine?
Do not open the door for the woman.
Yeah.
30
Gross.
years.
Right?
Be chivalrous. And
Yeah,
then,
right.
but then, yes. In 30 years, she's still telling me that I overcharged her for her drink.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because we remember everything.
Beautiful.
Right?
Yes.
I'm like, babe, you got to let this go.
Yeah.
You got to let it go.
That's how women's minds are, though, and men don't understand it. Like, women will we'll make up a story, even if it's been a long enough time. We'll make up a story, and then we'll be mad.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, it's real.
So the communication thing, that's another thing. That's where it just needs to be. It's so important.
Yeah.
Because if I can get something out and it's just like, it's just like off of me.
Lack of communication builds stories in your head.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if I can get stuff out, and that's what I learned too. Like at the beginning, when I was dating these guys, I'd hold off telling them I had kids, right? Which was like, because I would date younger guys, because that was what I liked, right? Like physically,
Yeah.
right? And now I'm like not there
Run
anymore.
away!
And now it's almost like I would prefer, and I kind of saw this, because when you have kids, and I'm not saying this right, everybody has their own thing,
Okay.
but like when you have kids, I would like someone would be like, hey, you or the kids die right now, and I'd be like, oh yeah, it's me, 100%, right? Like some people that don't have that, they just don't understand, and so I feel like I can kind of connect with someone who understands those things, right?
Yeah.
And that's just a personal preference thing too. But so yes, anyway, that's just there's just those things that need to
Wonderful.
be worked on.
Yeah.
So
We need to talk more.
well, sorry.
We need to talk more. That's
Yeah,
what we
we
need to
have.
do.
Yeah, we've
The world
been
needs to
going
talk
for-
more.
yeah,
The
yeah.
world needs to talk
Yeah.
more.
Yes, totally.
Yes, exactly.
But it's scary, and it makes people uncomfortable, and people don't know how to do it.
No, that's true.
Well, but it's kind of like becoming a parent, because nobody knows how to be a parent anyway. Like your kids don't turn up and they give it. Kids don't come with a manual, right?
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
It's like, so this is a 5-year warranty on this child.
If it's not
Yeah.
working out, you can give it back.
Right?
if I don't mean this in a bad way, but if you're a normal human being, you develop these skills as time goes on as well to communicate.
Yeah.
I mean, I am much better than I was 10 years ago.
Yes.
Much
of
better
course.
than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's life experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So some people say age is a big thing, but it's actually like I've talked to a lot of like 22-year-olds who are like, oh wow, like good for you, but they've been through some shit,
Yeah.
right? It's a different thing.
Earned all these gray hairs.
Gray hairs are
right,
good.
yeah.
Gray hairs are good on guys. I'm starting to
I've
like
heard-
not touch up yet, and I'm like,
you know what? It's good on women as well. Like it,
I love gray hair.
I'd like that. I'd like that to change. It's not up to me to change. It's what you feel good about
Yeah,
yourself with.
yeah.
I've
100%. But I mean, there's
flat
some,
out refuse
Yeah,
anything
there's-
just for men, all of that.
yeah, I know,
not
but
doing it.
that's
Never
the
will.
thing with men though. It actually
doing
looks nice.
Well, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm rather
Does it?
striking with my,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
gray right now. Well, the gray I have here, there's nothing up there anymore.
My
I hide on the two.
All I'm going to say is my barber's like a wizard.
There you go. But yeah, I mean, there's lots. I'm seeing a trend on Instagram. A lot of women who are embracing their gray,
Go great.
and it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And it's great. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So
Because you're either going like in society these days, you're either going the one way, which I'm not a big fan of, or just letting yourself age gracefully, which I
Exactly.
love.
yes,
And
yes,
like
yes.
even like the stuff that
Yes.
because I find it beautiful, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yep.
when someone's taking care of themselves, when they work out, when they eat healthy, when they have like a balanced life, you can see it on them.
Yep.
Right? And I find that more beautiful than the other thing.
Yeah.
But
So-
to each that's subjective.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
It's a different subject. I need to give myself
Yes.
a moment because I love that.
That's right.
I love what you just said. Just age great. It's just,
Yeah.
and what's wrong with the
And people take things overboard
Yes.
with these days
Mm.
with some things. I don't want to like go down that route.
And it's
But-
a touchy subject as well, like with alterations that people do.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Because it's I never want to pass judgments. I mean, some
Well,
people may
people
need it just to feel good about themselves, but at the same
Totally.
time,
They put themselves in a position where
Right.
they are judged.
Yeah.
But-
Because they take, there's things that you
some
can
people
go too
take,
far.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like everything in moderation, right? That
Right.
goes back to like,
And the catch-22 is what I found. Personally, this is just my view, is that any person who's getting older and does anything cosmetic to try to make themselves look younger, instead they just look like the person that they look like their age.
Yeah.
That's had
surgery. Yeah,
done.
totally.
So
Because there's some people who've done it and they've done it beautifully.
yeah,
Yes.
fair enough.
Yeah.
And but that's not a judgment call for me. But I mean, some could be very subtle and absolutely fine. And,
Yeah.
and do whatever makes you feel good.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
So-
Just moderation.
Yeah.
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 Just the medium.
Balance.
Right.
Just balance. A lot of people ask how to do balance, how to have a balanced life. And I'm like, and it's things like this though that people are like wondering or don't know how to do, that I'm like, it's really so simple.
Mhm.
Like, like I'm balanced because I take care of myself and I show up as a mom, and I also, like, on my days off, I'm like, I'm out there and I'm having fun, and I do, like I'm like a kid.
Yeah.
Right. But and then I need that to kind of refuel for like when I'm with my kids, because I've already done the whole vacation. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So it
100%.
feels good,
Yeah.
but people don't live like that. A lot of people don't. And then like a lot of men are workaholics.
Yeah.
And they dive into work and it's this. They've got their blinders, on. They don't even someone that I've been seeing. It's interesting.
I've always used that.
No balance.
I've always been suspect to a degree.
Amen
I
to
sometimes
that.
find a lot of guys might use the
Amen to that.
the workaholism as an excuse not to communicate because they don't want to.
Yeah.
Because when I'm smitten with somebody, they're getting texts. Doesn't matter how busy I am.
Yeah.
It doesn't-
Yeah.
Because
'Cause it's like,
no matter
it
how
takes a
busy you
second.
are, you have 2 seconds to go.
Totally.
Correct.
Thinking of you, bonk.
100%.
Right? It's
Yeah.
so.
Or send a
And
love
that
heart, something.
goes so far.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah, I think it's an excuse, and I think guys may be.
I do.
Yeah, guys may be painted with that brush, but I think it's the guy. I think.
Well,
Yeah, because if you wanted to, you would.
Exactly.
Yes.
The whole like,
Yeah.
if
Yes.
a man wants to, he would.
Yeah.
Yep.
And women, but I feel like, just from my perspective and the things that I hear from my friends and all that kind of stuff, it's that.
Yeah.
If they wanted to, they would. And so that's what I kind of like fall back
Exactly.
on too. I'm like, okay, well,
That's why I send exactly 120,000 texts.
yes,
to make
yes,
sure.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So there's no confusion.
Perfect. You're doing it right.
Thank you. I hate to brag.
Amazing.
Jason Wiles, block.
That's right. Damn. Never mind.
Like 383,000 blocks.
No, I'm very good at reading the room. It's like I'm not getting responses. Okay.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, I
But
get
that's
it.
how it should be.
Yeah.
Even this other guy, he's come to my events and he's like, I'm like, hey, this is what I'm offering. Because he's like, so any matches from like last month's event? And I'm like, and he said 2 friends of mine. I'm like, no and no, right? Like, it's just no chance. Not to be rude, but just I know these women and they're incredibly, good looking. And that's not their type. And so he'll come out like when he sees them out and just like grab their arm or and just like
don't do
and I'm
that.
like, what?
Don't
So
do
it's
that.
I have to like
Rule number
what are you
5.
doing? Like read the room though,
Yeah.
right? Like, but
Oh
some
my
people
God.
just don't get that
No.
either.
No.
That's the thing. And so like even when these people have connections at my events, which is happening a lot now, because I'm bringing like good people,
Yeah.
right? And so they're coming to me like for like the advice and like the in between stuff.
So looking at bringing everything together about what we've chatted about, the co-pilot answer to what's the popular opinion around dating sites, and I definitely think we've talked about this.
Yes. I feel like we've touched
Online dating has significantly changed the way people meet and fall in love in the 21st century. Let's explore some perspectives on online dating. Changing narratives of love. Traditionally, love was portrayed as something unexpected. A chance encounter. Hollywood movies often depicted love as serendipitous. However, online dating challenges this narrative. It's a deliberate search for a partner based on a specific criteria. Right.
Co-pilot's supposed to be just.
It's just, but again, this is.
No, it's
Yeah.
interesting
Like,
though.
it's interesting.
But it's interesting how like even when I've put it into practice, so I've been like on the apps, even if I'm like fine, you know what, I'm gonna try again, and then it's like the stuff that I get back is not. So it's also like the energy that you're bringing into it. But then I started going to that like masculine feminine thing, right, where you just like allow it to come to you, right? And when you've worked on yourself and you are good and you're finally like, can I tell the Montreal story real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Can I?
Yeah.
Okay, so I went to Montreal with this, and so I was seeing this guy, went on a couple dates with him, and he had kids, and it was like, it's something that could maybe be, right? And so he's like, let's go somewhere, and I'm like, okay. So then so we went to Montreal because this is I guess it doesn't matter. So he's like, let's go to Montreal because he's got some family there. And I'm like, okay, sure. Like, let's just see, right? Like, he's like, we'll stay there, whatever. I'm like, yeah, let's just see. We'll go there. And I'm very much like a go with the flow type person. So we get there and we spend the first night with his family, and they're amazing. Yeah. And then there's some things around that. I'm just like, well, why aren't you like close with them? I made some discoveries about him. He was very like materialistic, very like things. So I started seeing that I didn't really like him, right? He wasn't great, and I wanted to go to a shisha bar in Montreal. That was my only thing, because I like going here. And so then I'm like, I just want to go for shisha. And then before that, I was like, we're finally downtown. I'm like, let's go down that street. And he gets on his phone. And I'm like, no, let's just get lost. Yeah. Right? Like, just get off your phone. Yeah. And so, because he'd been on his phone a lot for work already. And so he got all pouty. Right? And I'm just like, so I'm like, let's go to a park. Let's just go and sit. So we sat beside each other. And there was this old man with like his hands behind his back. And he was like 1.5 feet in front of us. And just like walking past us with just like head down, whatever, old man. And so he's so close, and he's like walks past me, and he stops, like dead stop in front of this guy for like 15 seconds, like for enough time for me to be like, oh, what is happening? And then he just like goes, he just starts walking. I took it as like the universe was like, take a look, like. And so then we went for lunch, and like for me, when I go for a walk, whatever, it's like butterflies come from, like from the grass, or like bumblebees will like, and so wasps started like circling, like swarming our table. And I'm like, what the hell? And so our conversation started getting a little heated. And he's like, well, I don't know, we're just so different. Like, I don't like shisha. And I'm like, we're just going there. We're not going to stay there, or just like, it's an experience. And then I started bringing like my stuff. Like, I'm like, like experience, and like what's there to, there's nothing wrong with that kind of stuff, and just going and whatever. And so I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't like this on my vacation. I paid to be here. Yeah. Just go. Yeah. Right. And so he went, and all of my stuff was like in Laval, like all of this, like I had nothing. Okay. And so I went to my shisha place, and I made like all new friends. Oh, perfect. It was so beautiful. But going back to why I brought this up in the first place, that vacation, I finally, like, people say like, well, you need to love yourself, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I love myself. But then that vacation, it was like, that's when I discovered that. And it was like, everything changed from that point on. And so I'm okay. I'd rather be by myself than with someone that's not so great. That's the biggest thing. Yeah. But people will go on these things, and then they'll stay with something because they're with someone, right? And just not for the right reasons, because they can't be by themselves. No.
Yes. And that's sometimes hard for people. It took me a while to discover that I could be happy in my own skin out in public.
By yourself.
Yeah.
I do it
a lot
now.
of people.
Yeah, I hit up open mics with my guitar now.
Beautiful.
There you go.
By myself. So, what the hell?
It is beautiful.
Oh, it's great. But because so many people don't. They're just so scared. Yeah. Yes. Even coming to my events, a lot of people, like, a couple people will cancel right before, because it's like at the last minute, they're like, I just can't do it. And I'm like, what? I'd be like, ooh, like I'd be so excited. But I know that I'm not the norm as far as that, but yeah.
That's interesting.
Anna, it's been wonderful having you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been a great conversation.
This has been great.
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
I think we need to do it again.
Yes.
Definitely.
And good luck with Hitch.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
be watching you on Instagram. What's happening?
I know. Where is she now?
Well, yeah, what's happening this time?
my friends said they don't go out much, and they're like, oh my God. Like, where is she now? But I do get exhausted. Yeah. But then I have that time with my kids where I'm like, I'm like,
Chill.
what do you want to do
Recharge the
tonight?
batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
My son's always like, nothing. I'm like, yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Well, there we go. So I guess that was episode 10 of Chat with Yes Man.
Episode 10.
Let's talk about some of our sponsors. And what do you have in these little baggies here, Simon? Oh, we should show those to cameras.
Coffee.
From Pink Weasel.
Coffee. Different
that's one
things.
That's one of our sponsors.
Different things, look, Jace and
Oh, my
Anna.
goodness.
Einstein's equation, Smarty Pants espresso.
So
Espresso
they're flavored
without
different?
the
Is that-
X.
is what it
Yeah,
would be?
yeah. So they kind of they the guys George and Curtis they roast. So the beans, when you open this bag, the beans are not like a uniformed bag of coffee beans, shall we say?
Okay.
And then they'll put the blends together.
Oh.
Hence the reason why
okay.
you get
I
all
do.
the-
I do love the taste of coffee. I really do. Just can't drink it.
It's
And the smell.
and
all
everybody
the
and you
This
just
is
get
my
the
girlfriend
nice,
now.
There you go. Typical man. Just
I put on cologne, and that's her cologne.
There's, so you can have this one then. 33% of the time, it's 100% perfect.
I love it.
Oh, perfect. There you go.
Thank you, Squire.
That's yours.
And I'll have
Nice.
Smarty Pants espresso.
Love it.
I'm not really a Smarty Pants though.
Well, you
Wow.
look it.
Anna's known me for like a couple of hours.
Like me.
Yeah, definitely not.
Right,
was being
okay.
brat.
Fantastic.
So yeah,
Yeah. So.
I'll take one though if you're giving them away.
Yeah.
I'll just give it to my friends.
That
oh,
one.
okay.
do you want the
that
Smarty
one.
Pants?
No, this one. I like Einstein's
You're a guest.
equation.
You can choose
Okay.
whichever one you like. It's absolutely fine.
No, I'll choose. Well, I do want. No, I'll take this one.
Sure.
This one's good.
You sure? That's
Yes,
the one for you?
that's the
Wonderful. So that's great. So again, don't forget to listen to us on the YouTubes, on the podcast catchers, on the Spotifys, on the iHeart Radios, on the Podbeans. And YouTube, what do we have to do with YouTube?
Click.
The thumbs
Subscribe.
up. Subscribe.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Comment.
Lots of comments
Yep.
and all that fun junk
Yes.
and jazz.
I've
And
been
if
interested.
Yeah. And if you want to be a sponsor to Chat with the Yes Men, contact
Give us a
one of
call.
us. Yeah. We don't even know what sponsorship means. I mean, you could just like,
Just help. with
yeah,
sponsorship.
like, yeah. I don't know, help Jason date and be a sponsor. There you go.
Beautiful.
Yeah. You're like,
Part
oh,
of
hey,
it.
you're a
Part of
lost,
HYC.
you're a lost case, buddy. No, joke.
Is a sponsor now.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot. Like, I don't see a fit here. Sure, Jason. No, anyway, but yeah, I mean, we need our sponsors. Again, we do all this stuff ourselves on our fantastic computers, and a little bit of extra equipment wouldn't hurt. And so I'm not constantly out of pocket buying stuff. A little bit of help. So if you want to be one of our premier sponsors and help us with some of this equipment, we'll make commercials for you, and they'll be great commercials because they'll be done by me, and I'll make them
Yes.
funny and all that fun stuff. And we'll have you on the banner down there as a sponsor.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Great.
We'll be there.
Again, I'm Jason Wiles
I'm Simon Crouch.
and Anna Ahmed. Sorry, why am I screwing up your name right now right at the end?
Do you want to
So-
do that again?
That was good. That was good.
I think we're okay. Yeah. Thanks for watching this episode of Chat with the Yes Men.
Thank you.
Take care.
See ya.